the Realme 3 Pro and the Redmi Note 7 Pro. Two really interesting phones with really interesting cameras. I took all kind of day and night shots and videos with both of these phones, and here is my comparison of both of them. So the Realme comes with a 16 megapixel camera on the back, and the Redmi comes with a 48 megapixel camera on the back with a 5 megapixel depth sensor on both of them. The Realme gives you a 1.22 micrometer pixel size as compared to the 1.6 micrometer on the Redmi. Because of pixel binning, the 48 megapixel lens of the Redmi takes a 12 megapixel picture but produces a higher pixel size on the picture. So the low light comparison is going to be very interesting of both of these phones. The front camera has a 25 megapixel lens on the Realme and a 13 megapixel lens on the Redmi. Here's the first shot, and clearly the Realme 3 Pro one looks better. And that's because of the AI, or whatever you wanna call it, did a way better job on it. There were clearly more details on it too. But the Realme is clearly way more saturated because of all the post-processing it did on the picture. The Realme 3 Pro shows you a 2x zoom toggle, but when I compare the pictures from both the phones, the Redmi clearly has more details on it. The portrait mode on the rear cameras produces unreal result on the Realme 3 Pro. They are oversaturated and over-beautified. Even the blur on the background is exaggerated on the Realme. I think the Redmi does a better job here. The edge detection is more or less the same on both the phones. And this is why I wear a cap on most of my videos. The front camera and the AI does a better job on the Realme. It kinda generates this HDR effect and retains more detail in both the subject and the background. The 25 megapixel lens does prove its worth here on the normal mode. On the portrait mode, however, I am not sure which picture I like. The edge detection is more or less the same, but the Realme makes the details on my face pop up too much. So yeah, in a nutshell, it is a hit or miss on the portrait mode on both the phones, but I have no complaints on the normal mode. But under less challenging lighting circumstances, the Realme definitely produces more details. Yeah, the background blur is more than the Redmi, but I can work with that. Realme definitely pushes the details more though, so all of you who don't like the raw look of your faces might just not like these pictures on the Realme. But if you are a detail lover, you will definitely dig these shots from the Realme. Indoor also, the Realme proved its worth from the front camera, and the picture clearly has more details than the Redmi. The rear, however, performs better on the Redmi. The higher pixel size helps the Redmi retain more details and light on the picture. The panorama shot has more details on the Redmi too. Here's a video comparison of both the phones from the rear camera. The stabilization of the video feels better on the Redmi Note 7 Pro, and also it retains way more details on it. This is how the video quality is from the front camera of both the phones, which is at Full HD 30 fps. The stabilization of the video from the front camera feels the same on both the phones, but the Realme retains more details on the face, like the still shots I shared earlier from its front camera. The autofocus speed is more or less same on both the phones. The slow-mo shots look the same, but for some weird reason the video on the Redmi stuttered even after the device was updated with all the latest updates. Guess this could be fixed in the future, but I have seen a lot of people complain about the video capabilities of the Redmi Note 7 Pro, and they claim that the video stutters a lot in some cases, especially when the phone is hot. So you really need to consider this factor before you put your money in the Redmi Note 7 Pro, especially if you're planning to record a lot of videos on it. Coming on to the first night shot, without the night mode turned on, both the phones produced pleasing results. But the Realme was definitely sharper, at least in this scenario. Again, in this shot, both the pictures came out good, and Realme retains just a tad more details than the Redmi on the picture. In this example too, both the shots look good, but it is the Realme which clearly retains more detail on it. All the shots so far were without the night mode turned on, and the story kind of changes when I turn it on. So on this shot, the night mode was on, and the Redmi shot looks way more better and sharper than the Realme one. Both the phones were held one by me, and no matter how hard I tried to keep them stable, the Realme was always more hazy. So clearly the Realme could do better with a tripod, but ain't nobody got time for that. Similarly, in this night mode shot example, the Redmi shot retains more details and has a sharper picture with no blur produced on the picture overall. So yep, the rear night mode does a better job on the Redmi in these test scenarios. But the Redmi just can't beat the Realme's front camera. The Realme produces more details, more light and more clarity on the shot. Even the portrait looks better on the Realme. The Redmi simply fails to compete with Realme when it comes to the front camera in low light. The rear camera, however, replicated the earlier results of Redmi from daylight shots, of it being a better rear camera. Realme just beautifies the shot too much and hence loses a lot of details. Redmi definitely performs better in comparison. The macro shot with night mode on turned out to be just a tad better on Realme though. It was able to retain more details and light on it. The rear video camera in low light was again better on the Redmi with results similar to its daylight performance. But I just love how these cheap phones perform now in low light. Damn, they have gotten so good. This is how the video quality is from the front camera at full HD 30 fps. Clearly the Realme 3 Pro looks way more brighter, but I'll confirm it once I see it on my monitor. But yet again, the Redmi fails miserably when it comes to the front video comparison too. The Realme was just too good when it comes to its front camera performance. Redmi Note 7 Pro clearly uses some old sensor as its front camera and therefore is unable to beat Realme's front camera performance in both still and video quality in both day and night. So clearly, more or less, both the phones at their prices are great and you won't be going wrong with either of them. The night mode works better on the Redmi, but it just can't compete with the front camera of Realme. Realme does exaggerate its work with its AI and sometimes some results are overprocessed, but that doesn't mean it has a bad camera or anything on the back. So in conclusion, if you want to click a lot of selfies, then blindly book the Realme 3 Pro. If your priorities are not selfies, then the Redmi Note 7 Pro rear camera is a beast due to its sensor, and you would just love how good and sharp the low light pictures come out with the night mode. But hey, there's one more reason you would buy the Realme 3 Pro, and that is those flash sales the Redmi Note 7 Pro still suffers with. I have few friends who have paid a little more and bought the Redmi Note 7 Pro from offline stores. This video took me a lot of time to make. I would really appreciate if you hit the subscribe button with the bell icon so that you get notified with my future videos. It helps me a lot. That's all for today. Mewbot out. Now I just gotta drive 20 plus 20 kilometers more and return these phones. Oh damn.